Sorry, we got some wind going on.
Oh, yeah.
And we actually paid to go like in the boat, out onto the water. Like, all right.
Yeah.
I'm like,
It's our eyes get big. Like, what's going on?
the awning.
Okay. Hello, and welcome to the RV Voice. If you haven't been here before, thank you for joining. And today we have a fun one. They're a little wild and a lot free. And there's 6 of them joining us today, at least for a little while. 5 of them, actually. Augie, Ruby, Naomi, and Barry. It's a little wild, a lot free. Welcome. Thank you so much. They've been on the road for 4 years, and they're on their 4th year of their 1-year adventure. I guess they started at 120 square foot, but now they're in a Class A diesel pusher. This is my first Class A. It's exciting. So welcome, guys. Thank you so much for joining today. And I guess, how you doing? You got everybody packed in there right now.
Yeah, we wanted the kids. We're a package deal. So here's our kids. They're why we're on the road, and we're having a good day.
Yeah, you guys are the first kids on the show today. I've never had I'm glad you're joining us, guys. Augie, Ruby, and Alice, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Oh, goodness gracious. So you guys I kind of want to walk through your personal journey a little bit. You started at 120 square foot travel trailer, right? And bye guys. Thanks for joining. And which is nuts. And how many people, how big was your family at that time?
So we had the 3 kids and a 60-pound dog. And our RV had no slides, and it was a single axle, and it was a 17-foot by 7-foot living space.
Whoo! You had a 7-foot wide? Oh my goodness! Yeah. What was it? What was the trailer?
Micro Mini Winnie 1700 bunkhouse.
Ooh! How did you do that? I can barely stand up in the thing.
And, we had a Ford Flex. That's what we pulled it with.
Oh wow!
So that was we needed something small to stay within the numbers, and that was what fit the bill.
That's crazy. I mean, a Mini Winnie, man. We sold those in Lincoln when I was selling, and I can barely stand up in the dang things. That's impressive.
We made it a triple bunk.
Yeah. And
put wallpaper in it, and said this is going to be great, and we got on the road.
Where are you guys from originally?
Barry's actually from Los Angeles, and I'm from New Hampshire. We met in Utah, and
we were living in New Hampshire.
We moved to New Hampshire and got on the road 2 years later.
Oh my goodness gracious! Two opposite ends meet in the middle ish, sort of, not really, but and then you head off in a trailer. Wow, just wow! I couldn't do it in a 1700 foot or 1700 BH. That's nuts. But you started with a good one. Micro Minis are the Winnebago products. Really, really good product. I love selling those things because they were pretty easy to sell. They had the name one behind them, but they also had a lot of basically bells and whistles that most travel trailers did not have. Gosh,
it was solid.
Yeah.
No issues.
Yeah.
We used it for sure.
Yeah. So kind of walk us through your personal journey a little bit. Like, what inspired you to transition into full time? And then can you share your story, how you started? I mean, obviously you started in a Mini Winnie, but like how it all perspired and what got you into it and like why?
So we had a friend. We actually did not have a trailer before we went full time. We had never RV'd. Mm-hmm. We had gone tent camping a couple times, but we had friends that had a trailer, and she kind of knew. She's like, "Oh, this is a thing. People live and travel like this." I'm like, "Yeah, we're not going to do it." I looked at like in 2018, that's kind of it, because I'm always up to something crazy. And then we decided to move from Utah to New Hampshire. And I was like, well, maybe we get an RV for that trip. We decided we're going to just do hotels. We did an epic family road trip. We did 5,000 miles. We left Utah, did 7 national parks, up, down, and over the United States, and had an incredible time. Just doing hotels, but like road tripping with our kids. Uh-huh. So we get to our house in New Hampshire. Everything's going well for the while, and then 6 months later, the world shuts down, right?
Oh, yeah.
So a little while after that, I started getting sick, and we didn't know what was going on. And I slowly started becoming a crazy person. It's true.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm listening.
And our family basically started falling apart. So after a year of me being sick, We still didn't have any answers, but we knew like we needed to do something to save our family. And our best family memory we had was that road trip.
Okay.
So we're like, maybe that's the answer. Let's get outside, yada, yada. While we're getting ready to RV, we find out that there was mold in our house, making me a crazy person.
Oh.
Yeah, surprise. So we were already in the process of moving into the RV at that point. Thank goodness. We had the house remediated and everything got on the road. But we weren't willing to spend money to get on the road because we thought he might not like it.
Oh,
It's true.
so you were the problem, Barry.
Yeah, right. I'm the homebody. You make me do change. I don't know about that. Well, sure, we'll see how it goes, but I'm not spending a bunch of money.
And I had just made this man move across the country also.
It's
like,
New Hampshire.
Yeah.
To New Hampshire.
Two totally different vibes, New Hampshire to LA. Yeah, two totally. Okay, anyway.
So for us, it was 2021. Buying a truck was going to be crazy. And we had the max tow package on our Ford Flex, so we could tow 4,500 pounds. And I got a bee in my bonnet, and I was like, this is it. This is the answer. This is how we're going to save our family. I'm going to make it happen. And when I decide something's going to happen, it's going to happen.
That's awesome.
So we found there were, I think, only like 2 models that could work to fit our family and be able to tow it behind our Flex. And we found one in Tennessee. 3 days later, we were hopping in the car driving to Tennessee to pick it up. And
we bought our weight distribution hitch like off of Facebook Marketplace on the way down. Like she's in the car looking it up, and we can pick one up in this town on the way. Sweet.
Yeah. You said you didn't want to spend money. You got to find the cheapest way to do so. Well, there you go.
Not the advice that I would give most people at this point, but that is how we got on the road. That's why there were 3 RVs in 2 years. It took us a while to figure out what we needed.
Yeah.
But
I saw one of your, we'll get to the gadgets and gizmo, but pertaining to the mold, I'm guessing, right? Yeah. We'll talk about that later. That's a good one. I never thought about that one. One of those things actually almost killed me one time, so I'll tell you that later. But anyway, so it was kind of a free happenstance, right? You had a little bit of family issues, and I've heard this for several families that I've been talking to, is that this ends up bringing you closer, whether you want it to or not. It just does, because you're, one, living on top of each other, and 2, you can't get away from each other, right? So you have to actually walk through things, talk through things. You can't just go outside. We could go outside and walk away a little bit, but you still got to come back to the same spot because it's home, right? So that's interesting to hear, but we'll dive into that a little more, I'm sure, as we go. So the preparation and planning for you guys was just a little bit different, it sounds like, than most. And I've yet to hear 2 stories basically alike. I've had, I don't know, 10 or 12 people on here so far. But I've had the ones where they were going to sell the house and it sold in 2 weeks. And that was like oops, oh crap, now what? Well, we got to get the RV faster. Well, that happens. So, but questions for you guys: what steps did you actually take besides what you've already told me? And how did you choose the first RV? Was it just monetarily, like that's why you chose it? Or what other advice would you give someone trying to select their first RV? Because if I was outfitting you guys, I wouldn't have outfitted you that way.
So this is where I say, I don't tell people to do what we did. We've met multiple families on the road that did really thorough research. They were all in on the going full time. They found the perfect RV, and they've been in it for 6 or 7 years. Had we had, that just wasn't an opportunity for us. My brain was broken. I had short-term memory loss. I had a lot going on. So we did what we could. In an ideal scenario, that's what we would have done. But you don't know how you're going to travel until you really get out there. If you're already RVing, you might kind of know. We could have maybe guessed that we'd be crazy travelers. We did 40 states in our first 13 months on the road. We moved every 3 days. We we want to go, we go. It's going to rain, we're going to leave. We traveled like this. So we should have been in a motorhome from the beginning.
Oh, okay. Yeah. But again, cost is a huge thing. It's really important for people,
if it's going to make or break you, do what you can. And for us, the whole thing was get on the road. Like, let's make it as few barriers as possible. Mm-hmm. And that is why we made the decision we did of we literally can fit, and that is all that matters.
And I didn't want to sell the house
to fund the lifestyle.
Initially, I wasn't sold on. I'm like, sure, we can do this short-term trip. We'll see, but we're not selling the house. It seems like a big,
and it's only a year.
Yeah.
Okay, so this was after the road trip, right?
Yeah.
So this was after so you had the road trip a couple years prior of that, mm-hmm. and then you got the RV with your Ford Flex and started hopping around like crazy. Still have the house.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay, yeah, this is a totally new story for me. So this is interesting. and so it was a year trip. You're going to keep the house. Were you renting out the house or anything, or just?
So we rented out our house, and it was again a little bit different because I was so sick and I was the person packing the house. Okay. I wasn't really capable of decision making of what's to stay and what's to go. So it finally got to the point everything was going in boxes and getting taped with a label, and some of it went in our basement. And we just did a partition, and then some of it went into a storage unit of anything we might want to access while we're on the road. Because you never know. We're like, I don't know, maybe we'll buy a house. I don't know, maybe we'll get a different RV and we need tools. Like, mm-hmm. So we tried to make some things accessible, and then we put some stuff in the house, which this all made for a mess later.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So we'll do
what you can in the moment.
All right. So, this is a totally new story. I don't even know how to keep this thing properly flowing. I think we're going to stick on this for a little bit because it's still part of the personal journey and preparation and planning, right? Because this evolved basically over time, right? It wasn't like we're doing this and this is what we're doing. It was like, oh, we're going to keep doing this over a long time. And then you sold your house. Let's just keep going with the story. I want to hear more about this.
So it didn't take long, I don't think. Like, when do you think we were on the road that we were like, this is it? Like, this is what we should be doing?
Relatively soon.
Yeah. Relatively soon.
Yeah.
Like, I think before we got the Alpha Wolf, maybe. Because we switched trailers in December of our first year on the road. Mm-hmm. And, classic, right? We needed a new tongue jack, and I came home with an RV instead.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So they got to update the truck now and then all that.
Well, fortunately, we had already bought the truck. We tried to get to weight. The single axle, I do not recommend. If you are even going tiny, get a double axle to be able to have the weight and just safety. We had TPMS, but we were still nervous about having a single axle. And we weighed all the time. We're shuffling things around. We took the 60% seat out of our Ford Flex.
The middle row was a 60-40 split. And it weighed about 80 pounds, and we took that out and put it in storage to save on weight. and we ended up. I was new to all the numbers, and there's a gazillion weight ratings on all this stuff, right? And I was like, we're within towing, we're within this, the GCWR, we're within that. And I was like, this rear axle weight rating is killing us. Like we were over. And I don't feel comfortable.
What was the hitch that we got?
It was heavy. WaySafe. The original WaySafe one. It's like a big, heavy duty, 15,000 pound rating on it. That sucker was.
So we could read
120 pounds. So we could read our tongue weight. Yeah, to try to keep that number within. That was always a balancing game.
We were like really determined.
Yeah.
To make this Ford Flex.
It must.
Work.
Yeah. I mean, we emptied the water heater tank, the 6 gallons of the tiny little hot water tank in our trailer,
to
right?
Be able to drive.
It's 50 pounds. We need 50 pounds, right?
So you took out the water heater?
We just drained the water out of it.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Water's heavy. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yep. Every drive day, he had to go and crawl inside underneath the dinette and go and pull the stuff. Our other models is just underneath, but he had to go every drive day. It was like we were so determined to stay on the road, make it work, and like just not spend money.
Very
determined. We were like, all right. We're like this. We're all really happy. I'm doing much better. I'm out of the mold. It took me 2 years of treatment once we were on the road, but everybody was doing well, even though it was exhausting. The way that traveling tiny is tiring. Mm-hmm. That's why we now have a big 45-foot diesel pusher. Was the fatigue of everything having to move 2 or 3 things to do anything didn't feel sustainable for us for the long term. So we decided, I think we're going to be doing this a while. Let's just upgrade to a bigger trailer. So we felt like a 32-foot travel trailer with double bunks was like a mansion.
And a slide.
So much better.
Yeah.
The kids were so excited. They were doing cartwheels inside. Like,
all this room for activities.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. So when was the transition from the Alpha Wolf to the Class A? Because that's number 3, right?
That's number 3.
Yep.
So we did a year and a half in the Alpha Wolf. That was easier on weight. We upgraded the axles, made sure that we were safe in towing. And then it was still doing a lot of things, and we were still move 3 things to do anything. And we were still doing really long drives. We've had 16-hour drive days. 12-hour drive days aren't that unusual. We're always like, we got to get somewhere. We're going to go. New Hampshire is a very inconvenient home base.
Yeah.
It's like really out of the way.
Yeah.
So we overnight in parking lots a lot, and we just get to where we're going to go. With little kids, every time you pull over to use the bathroom, it's a minimum 30-minute stop.
Mm-hmm.
And those add up really quick.
Yeah. Because they drank their pop too fast or whatever it may be. Yeah, I was that kid. Yeah.
And then you start driving, and then the other kid's like, "Oh, oops, I need to go," and you're like, "We just." So, with how we were traveling, we debated, like, it was a huge investment to go in on a Class A diesel pusher compared to how we've been traveling.
Very much
so it was a really big decision. It took us about 3 months of digging to find the right floor plan for us, interrogating our friends with Class A's if it was really worth it and what would they have done differently, because there's not that many full-timers in Class A's with kids. It's hard to fit more than 2 kids in a Class A without putting up a couch and taking it down every day. But again, once I decide something's changing. So we ended up spending last summer getting moved into this. Let me tell you, moving RVs is my least favorite. You think it's not going to take as long as a house.
Yeah.
And then you're like, all these things in little tiny nooks and crannies. It took us like 3 weeks to move this last time.
It's just a different it's a different ball game, right? I mean, you go from house to house. I mean, basically all the same amenities are going to be in the next house, and it's just kind of, well, this closet's in a different spot or whatever it may be, but all the kitchen stuff is in the kitchen. And there's usually enough cabinet space. RV is a totally different ball game. And, I've had people, because there's one more cabinet, buy that one, or there's one more cabinet, I'm going to buy the other one because I don't need that much cabinet space. I mean, it's totally different when you're coming in. And then you add full-time on top of it. You guys have to take everything with you. So totally different ball game. But the Class A, so now you've been in the Class A for how long?
Year plus a little.
Yeah, year and a month.
Okay.
Went by like that. It's crazy. Life on the road, just like, I can't believe it's been 3 years that we've been on the road and a year in this RV. It's crazy.
Wow. So it was like you're about 3 to 3.5 in the last 2. And the first one was like a half a year?
Yeah.
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 Wow. Jeez and Pete. Yeah.
I can't believe we survived with a mini fridge.
In a mini Winnie.
In that mini Winnie. We have a residential fridge now, dishwasher, washing machine and dryer.
Yeah, it's a true home on wheels now. And yeah, you're making it so, and that's awesome for you guys. So as that's gone along, I mean, your daily life and routine has completely changed from the house, right? So you were in the house, then you went to the mini Winnie. Daily life and routine in a mini Winnie is totally different than an Alpha Wolf, and then Alpha Wolf to this now. Everything's a little different. So what does a typical day, Barry, look like for you driving a Class A now? Because we'll skip the rest of it. I mean, we don't need to talk about that. No one wants to know right now. What does that look like to you guys? And then same for you, Naomi. And then how do you manage everyday tasks as cooking and cleaning and laundry? Because, I mean, now you're in the home on wheels, so it's a little more, I guess, user-friendly. But with the Class A also comes a lot more issues, a lot more moving parts. So if you guys want to walk through this, I'd love to hear it.
Yeah. So, I mean, I work full time at the moment in between jobs, but the typical day, right? Like start work at 9 to 5, right? I have a remote job. With moving to, the motorhome having more room, part of it was in the back of the RV, right? We have pocket doors in our bedroom that I can set up an office, right? And so I have to have access to a bathroom and everything that I need back there. And then they can be in the front, doing school and, other things. If it's it's cold outside, if it's raining, if it's windy, if someone's sick, like they can still be in the RV, right? And we have our own space. That was one of the bigger reasons moving into the motorhome was, for work. I didn't have to shuffle around and that. But that's kind of that's your typical day for me. I am still compiling a list of all the maintenance things that I need to do. I know I'm a year into this and a little late. For some reason, the RV did not come with the chassis manual. I'm still trying to get my hands on that Spartan.
We'll help you out.
Yeah, sweet. Yeah, with all the different the fluids and the change intervals. I've been looking up some of that stuff, but yeah, trying to stay on top of that. Oil changes and whatnot. Some of it I'll do myself, but I think this comes with outsourcing a few more things.
Yeah.
All these fluids and belts and stuff for regular, engine motor maintenance stuff. So
yeah, it's a diesel pusher. So, gas engine's one thing. Most people, it's a little more, more common knowledge for a gas engine. When you get into diesels, it's a different ball game.
Right.
So, I couldn't touch a diesel engine. Yeah, no. I grew up on a farm, but you gotta tell me what to do on that thing. I can do everything else.
Yeah. And I guess for reference, this is my first diesel motor I've ever owned. So I'm new to this world. And I was okay, sure, great.
Yeah, different ball game. So Naomi, what's it look like for you? Daily life. Like cooking, cleaning, taking care of the kids, whatever it may be.
So a lot of us on the road choose this because we like the ultimate freedom. Uh-huh. And we were choosing ultimate freedom for the first 3 years on the road. It was like, get up, we're going to go to a museum, we're going to go on a hike, we're going to go do whatever we want today. And we'll just read a book with you every day because we're going to just be a year on the road, right? So it was like, we'll do reading, we'll do some basic math, and then everything else is just adventure and unschooling. Mm-hmm. And then
lucky kids.
Yeah, it's been a blast.
I had a crush unschooling.
Oh man. Yeah, it's been a little bit of an adjustment this school year. It was like, all right. I was having a hard time keeping on top of everything. And I finally conceded and said, all right, Barry, we need a family schedule. And he was like,
right. You said the magic words.
And I was like, a schedule. Like to me, that's a trap. Like it's this horrible age.
So you're the schedule person.
Yes.
Oh, really? See, I'm the opposite. Yeah. I don't do well.
That's the worst ever, right? And it's like, no, we're to a point. I started into content creation, and it took more of my time than I expected. I'm really not good at balancing my time. I'm adventure mom, right? Like I will go and plan a trip, and I will go adventure. But if you want me to have time management skills, we're gonna have a problem. Yep. So now we just have our staples, our priorities, which all surround family. So we get up in the morning and we go for a family walk every day. That's awesome. A huge priority for us. Get outside, get the early UV, which is good for your health. Time to connect as a family, check in with everybody, take the dog for a walk. Mm-hmm. Then we come back. Barry would normally start work and I would do school with the kids. We have a little chore chart that about 50% of the time happens for the kids. As far as food, one of the things about a Class A that was a big shift for us is we went from spending so much time outside, living in a trailer, to being really comfortable in the house. Mm-hmm. And that was a shift we had to go and pull ourselves back outside again. I was like, that's not exactly what we wanted with getting a motorhome. So we've gone back to cooking with the Blackstone outside whenever we can. Mm-hmm. We got more comfy chairs outside and set up an area to hang because most people hate their RV furniture. We love ours. Everyone comes in and they're like, oh.
Yeah, sink into it. When I was selling, I did the same thing. There's a couple that came through. I'm like, oh yeah, catch me back at that one.
Yeah, and I'm like, look at me recline. Yeah, we're driving down the road.
Yeah,
yeah, it's luxury. So we've had to pull ourselves back outside, and cooking is one of the ways to do that. But we also, our 10-year-old Ruby that came up on here is loving cooking right now.
Oh, good deal.
So she's been doing that a little bit more. But we take, normally when we're adventuring, we have a butane cooker, cooktop we keep in the back of the truck. We have everything with us. That's one of our things is we keep the truck packed for daily adventures all the time. So there's no packing and unpacking in the bed of our truck. It's just pack a cooler and go. You have a question?
I do.
Okay, what's your question?
Okay, do you dolly the truck?
Flat toe.
Flat toe. So it's got its own. Oh, yeah, it's just connected to
Or
it.
four wheels down. Yeah.
Yeah, 4 wheels down. Yeah.
Yep.
We got lucky. That's the truck we already had.
Yeah.
And we were able to put it, what's it called? What's the mode?
A neutral tow mode.
Neutral tow.
Oh, really? It doesn't bother. It doesn't.
No, it actually disengages the transfer case. Like it has a procedure. It's kind of funny. Like you put your foot on the brake, put it neutral, and you switch between 4 high and 4 low or whatever. Two high, 4 low, 5 times within 7 seconds, and then it pops up on the screen like neutral tow mode enabled. And so it's all disconnected, so you don't burn up the transmission while you're pulling it.
This a Dodge.
It's a Ford F-150.
It is, okay.
Yeah.
I've never heard that. So that's it. Oh, it's an F-150. So okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's got that electronic 10-speed transmission.
We have actually seen other people though. Now that we're on the road and now that we have a Class A with the truck behind, now we see them everywhere.
Oh, really?
Like all these people flat towing trucks and some a dually. I mean, if it's 4-wheel.
You have enough tow rating on your Class A then? I mean, obviously.
Yeah, it's got 15,000.
No kidding?
Yeah.
Woo! That's not bad at all.
And our cargo capacity is 9,000 pounds.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, yeah, it's a home. You got plenty of stuff in there. Okay. So your daily life, I mean, so you're homeschooling now. You're done with the unschooling, which that would have been a great time in my life. I would have got that opportunity, but that was my summer. I just did whatever I wanted. But the 9 to 5 content creation is a beast. It's what I do. It's what I do for a living too.
Surprise!
So, yeah, it's a lot, and people don't understand. If you don't follow the same guideline every time, and you kind of thinking up a new idea every day, that's tough. It takes up a lot of energy and a lot of mental focus. And then you got kids on top of it. I take care of them, but they're getting outside, hanging out with the family, and doing small adventures like that is super cool. A lot of people lose sight of that in the 9 to 5, the normality of life living in an actual home. The sticks and bricks, which I'm coming to know is a thing in y'all's culture. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I've never heard that until I was like, Are you making fun of me? Are you insulting me? I was like, I can live this lifestyle. I just don't. So, but anyway, that's really awesome, guys. I mean, so Barry, question for you. What is it that you do?
I'm an analytics engineer / data engineer, kind of. Okay. Somewhere, yeah. So it's remote, online, yeah. Can work for any industry. Lots of companies have that position.
Absolutely. So did you start that with your first year on the road? Was that, I mean, did you ask to go remote or?
It actually, I was already remote when we started. Before we moved to New Hampshire, the company I worked for, half of our team was already remote. And so when she asked me or demanded that we move to New Hampshire, I was like,
You're going.
if you can move remote. Yeah. And I just said, hey, I know half our team's remote. Can we go remote? Sure. Great.
Wow.
And so this is, the beginning of 2019 or so.
Wow.
The switch. And then, so when the world came to a stop, COVID, whatever, I was already remote anyway. It didn't affect anything. And then we decided to get on the road. That also was very helpful. It's like, well, your job's remote, doesn't matter. So
yeah, I mean, like a lot of people during that first couple months specifically, it was like everyone's remote, everyone's stay at home, like we'll figure it out, whatever. And a lot of companies adopted that and really run with it. It's almost cheaper to have people to stay at home because they don't have the overhead of the lights of the building and all that. So, but they haven't figured it out here yet. We're working on it. But anyway, so obviously you've had some challenges and solutions. Your daily life and routine obviously got flipped on ahead when you were, I'm guessing you were in a 2,000 plus square foot home at one point in time.
Yep.
Yeah. And then
4 bedrooms, 2 living rooms, 2 car garage.
Plush life. Yeah. It wasn't so bad, right? But the initial challenge was going into 120 square foot with 3 children and the pooch, right? Obviously that's an issue. So there's some challenges there. So how did you overcome those? And obviously that's come up and gone different with each one. So challenges and solutions for each, if you'd like to share that. And then how did you handle maintenance and repairs on the road? We'll get into that a little after this conversation, but how do you handle maintenance and repairs? Because it's a little different. You're in a Class A specifically, so you have to go to Integra and then whatever the actual chassis is it Ford?
Spartan.
So whatever that may be, you have to get it to probably someone that does that to do some major engine repair or whatever it may be. How does that all work for you guys?
Okay, starting with maintenance or starting with, what was the first question?
Challenges overall.
Yep.
So when we started really tiny, Our biggest challenge was fatigue, which we did to ourselves. We just traveled really, really fast. All of our bikes, actually, we couldn't find a place for our bikes at the time. And so all of them stacked on our bed, and we had to take all the bikes off of our bed every night and put them outside to be able to go in and sleep. Yeah, determined, right?
5 bikes?
We ended up putting 2 on a Let's Go Arrow in the front. So it was the 3 kids' bikes.
Okay. So the tongue mounted.
Yeah.
Bike, yeah.
Yep.
So we had 2 on the front, 3 bikes we had to take in. So there was no parking lot sleeping when we first started. Our biggest way was just be outside. The biggest challenge is your tiny space, right? Everybody before we got on the road, what are you going to do when it rains? I was like, I'm a pretty smart person. Like, I think I'll just figure something out, And I was like, well, there was one day in all of our time that we were in the rain and it was 55 degrees outside. And we distinctly remember this day because that's the day we bought our truck.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That we were like, well, we're stuck inside. We could have gone to a museum. And that was always what we did. It was like, just go somewhere, Like, what do people do when it's hot and they don't have air conditioning? You go to Target, Like, it's raining, you just go find something. And we just were educating our kids through museums anyway. So he would stay in and work, and I would take the kids to go do something. That was the challenge. Also, we would just change our plans if it was going to be bad weather, usually. Just go somewhere else. The day was 55 and rainy. We became masters of all things Ford trucks in the course of 6 hours. And then we found a truck, and by the next day we had bought a truck. So bad weather probably is expensive or something. So the second RV, what were the challenges? Workspace was still a challenge with the second RV. We were hoping that would be better, but it was that was really what catapulted us into the Class A, was really needing an office space for Barry.
Okay.
I can get easily distracted. So
Yes.
that was a challenge for me initially. And so they were gone most of the time in that small micro mini, right? They were gone most of the day adventuring. So I could have my
But that got tiring.
time. Yeah.
That got really tiring. Waking up,
we know it
leaving.
wasn't sustainable.
Yeah. Once we decided we're doing this for the foreseeable future, that was the thing that needed to change. You could do anything for a year. That's what we tell people. I'm like, I could have done it for a year. You could do anything for a year. But once we knew it was going to be longer, like, let's not torture ourselves.
Yeah.
So we moved to the Alpha Wolf. Barry had some more space, and it was kind of working, but it was definitely a Band-Aid. When we bought it, it was like, hey, you're committing to a year in this trailer. I'm like, okay.
Year 2. I could do it
Year on
for a
the
year.
dot. I was like, all right,
I
what's
can do
next?
it for a year.
If I had like built a battery, like built a lithium battery and inverter and installed all that in the other and the micro mini, right?
Okay.
And so when we traded in, they let us take it out, but then I had to reinstall it in this, and I'm like, look, this is a lot of work. You got to commit to it.
It's not easy.
Yeah. I'm like, I feel like I just got that installed in the other one, and now you're switching rigs on me. So
So when we bought the motorhome, we had the conversation again.
Yeah.
And that conversation was, all right, can you commit to 5 years in this to make it worth it? And I said, yes, I can do 5 years. So 4 left. So we'll see what we're doing.
Well, I'll pray for you. Keep it going.
appreciate it.
We'll probably go back and do like a teardrop, We'll just like whoop all the way back over.
I don't know. Yeah, I think that's pretty plush life that you got there in the Class A. The Integras are usually pretty nice. So I would. What year is it? If you don't mind me asking?
2019.
Okay, so it's pretty new. Yeah.
Yeah, with the health aspect of this, that plays a role in basically every decision we make. I cannot have mold in my environment, or I will become a crazy person again. And we've already done that once. So we wanted something that wasn't new because that was out of our budget. But that was well taken care of and new enough. And we had a really thorough inspection done. Part of why we decided to do a Class A with making that change was we had felt like less of a chance of mold issues. We have porcelain floors. We're really well insulated. They're built really well. We felt like it was more durable and able to withstand a lot of things better versus, oops, a slide was adjusted the wrong direction and you've got a problem. We had 1 slide on our travel trailer, and I was real freaked out about 4 slides, but so far so good.
Yeah. Oh, look at that. There you go.
Oh, hey, I've heard about this.
Yeah, we'll talk about it. But yeah, so you've had some issues on the road. I mean, it's typical. It is what it is. I mean, you take these things on the road, things shake loose. It's going to happen. It's not if, it's when, right? So there's some challenges right there. So maintenance for you guys, did you have to take it into a shop, or do you take care of those things yourself? How do you go through those?
We do everything we can ourselves.
Yeah.
Mostly, it's not even cost. A lot of time, it's convenience.
Yeah.
Okay.
You don't want to have to be out of your house for any period of time if you can help it.
Yeah.
Some people will go bring it to the manufacturer and get a cabin for a week at a campground through their membership. Some people get a hotel. We have a tent. We figure we end up having to get this place.
Yeah.
We got a tent, if we need to, or plan to do regular maintenance when you're near family. Okay. So if you can go and stay with family and drop off the RV, just know that it might end up being longer than you planned. Plan accordingly,
Oh, yeah.
We've had some friends that have been able to stay in their RVs every night still when it's getting work done. We've seen all sorts of different ways it's worked for people. For us, we've been really lucky. We say again and again, we're just really lucky people. I don't know why. Knock on wood.
Yeah, easy. Yeah, somewhere.
So, we've not had a lot go wrong. We've had a couple things. We have an issue right now. Exhaust manifold.
We got an exhaust leak. So it's probably there's probably people listening to this going like, "What do you mean? Fix it now?" It's something that we need to take care of. But we're going to plan on. We're going to meet up with some family around Thanksgiving. We'll be in St. George, and so we'll schedule something and have it taken in while we're staying with family.
Or the best option is go fly to Europe for a couple weeks and leave the RV to get work done.
She's got a great idea, man. That's a good one. Yeah, we think alike. Yeah,
theoretically an option. Yes.
Yeah, theoretically, yeah, you could do that. I mean, you could go to Hawaii, you could go to Mexico, all sorts of places. That's funny. So you guys have family in St. George?
Mm-hmm. We have family all over. That was the one part about. I have 5 siblings. Barry has 3 siblings, and they're scattered all over the United States.
That's
so awesome. We make sure when we travel that it's we pop over and see folks. It's best if they're near a major highway, but we do what we have to do.
Yeah. Well, St. George, Utah, right? I mean, that's absolutely great. It's gorgeous down there. I mean, I drove into there literally at sunbreak, coming in, right in the morning. I left Green River, Utah one morning, 4:30 in the morning. I drove all the way to there, and it was the sun was just creeping over the hill, and it was hitting all the red rocks in there. That St. George. Oh,
yeah.
What is this place? I had no idea. I wasn't even watching. I was like, I'm going this way. Yeah, it was an incredible trip for me, but yeah, that was super cool. So St. George, Utah, that's awesome. So you kind of plan around. I like that. I like that idea. So you guys are more lucky than most. You have a little more family, and they're kind of all spread out. My family's specifically in Nebraska. I do have family in Texas, which is great, but I mean, north and south is not really ideal for me for any of that. Luckily, I have a lot of friends where I could, shack up at their place if I had to. But not everybody has the same, I guess, luck or opportunity that you guys do. So that's a good way of go about maintenance. But anyway, let's move into financial aspects, because this is not cheap, as you guys know. Barry, I saw your face turn a couple of times. You're like, no more RV changes because it does. It costs money.
Yeah.
You buy one, you trade it in, you lose money. Just doesn't matter what you do. It's just the nature of the beast, unfortunately. But how do you sustain this lifestyle financially? Barry, it sounds like you work content creation as well. You guys have your own stuff, links and all that, Linktree. Are there any specific tips you can offer on earning income on the road? Because planning your schedule out, like you said, is a little different, Barry. You like to have a schedule, and I understand that.
Yeah.
I just don't do it very well myself. And then what about budgeting advice? Because that's another, I guess, aspect of this financial aspects, because it's not super cheap to do this. I've seen several people kind of list out how much it takes in a month. It's not cheap, but again, it's just a little different way of living versus living in a home. So if you could walk us through all that first, how to sustain it all, and then budgeting advice.
It just depends. This conversation happens a lot, even just among RVers, that the part of it, the freedom of it, is you have more control. I feel like, so you're not going to go whale watching in every tourist town that you visit. Right. You're going to go once and you're going to check it off the box. A lot of people spend a lot of money in their first year, and then they settle down. They slow down their travel, which saves money. Work camping saves a ton of money. So it's like, are you treating it like a vacation, which is really expensive, or are you living and your house just has wheels? So for us, living with the house with wheels, we don't go and do a lot of tourist stuff. That's expensive. And like I said, it's usually kind of the same everywhere. Mm-hmm. We had to make funny distinction with our kids about when it's vacation and not, because they felt like life was a vacation. And if they were here, they would tell you, for them, it's they get sprinkles on their ice cream.
Oh, yeah.
On vacation, you can get a topping on your ice cream. That's how they know we're on vacation. It was like our first winter on the road, again, vacationing, right? Before really like changing our lifestyle. For Christmas, they, we had no room for stuff. We were in 120 square feet. My whole family had the idea, hey, let's all go in on passes to Universal for your family for Christmas, because you're going to be in Florida. Mm-hmm. And so those kids thought, right, that they were living the life. It was Wednesday morning. They're going to Universal Studios while all the other kids are at school. And it was really needing to make clear distinctions. And that was year one. Now we are like prioritize on where our money goes and pay a lot better attention, because that first year was really pricey.
Yeah, I believe it. Yeah, I mean, you go out there and you do. I can see why. It's a totally different flip flop, right? This is my normal everyday life. Well, you flip that into a different perspective. Obviously, you're going to think about, well, it's just fun, having a good time. It might never end. Well, it didn't for you guys, but yeah, I never heard that, vacation versus full time living. So that's an interesting way of looking at it. What other advice you got?
Do you have any?
Well, I mean, as far as like campgrounds, like there's 1,000 trails. You did all the research on that. Yeah,
our first year on the road, also, we didn't do 1,000 trails at the beginning because we were moving so quickly and just wanted to go where we wanted to go. We weren't going to have a campground tell us where we should be traveling. Mm-hmm. Now we just would rather stay at 1,000 trails where we've already paid for the option to be there and drive a farther distance for daily activities than spend a whole bunch of money on campgrounds. Mm-hmm. So we love state parks when we can stay at them. We do still fit in some state parks at 45 feet with 4 slides. Wow. Just not all of them. Wow. Because we would rather enjoy being in a naturescape than being in an RV resort. We don't travel for the parks, the RV parks. That's not what does it for us. But it's the reality of it. So we try to save as much as we can on campgrounds. So for some people, they would rather pay for a monthly rate. But with 1,000 Trails membership, we save more money in the long term. For how we've been on the road already, it saved us a lot of money.
Yeah, I believe that. I heard of Coast to Coast as well. Have you heard of that?
We are looking into Coast to Coast. It's like the elusive membership. Like we are trying to understand how it works, and nobody knows, Yeah. So we have a couple friends. They love Coast to Coast. And that gives you more options in the center of the U.S. because 1,000 Trails is kind of like that's on the outside. Yeah. So another option for sure. Membership camping saves us a lot of money. Also boondocking, dry camping.
I was going to bring that up. Yep.
Barry really wants to have solar, but we can't justify it because we have a huge generator on our motorhome.
It'll take a while to flip itself on its head. To make your money back. The return on investment might take a little bit.
But we were just dry camping for 2 weeks in Albuquerque at the Albuquerque Balloon Fiesta. And our batteries died.
Ooh.
While we were there.
Or almost died. We get about a half hour after charging them that it can run before it's lights are flickering and the generator needs to be on.
It's time.
Like, just stay flexible, my friends. We're grateful that we have the generator. We had the setup that we have. But there's plenty of families that exclusively dry camp. They just stay out west. They're just boondocking. They spent the money instead of on a campground membership on lithium and solar. And then they have absolute freedom to go where they want to go without having to pay anybody any other money.
Yeah. I'm wondering, so like for the boondocking side of things on the on the Class A side. This is new to me. I mean, fifth wheel, same thing. I mean, you're pushing about the same length overall anyway. You know, you get a 44-foot fifth wheel toy hauler. I mean, you still got the truck in front of it. You guys are about the same length. The one thing that concerns me about the Class A, ground clearance is a lot less. I mean, it just is. Doesn't matter. So, like, how does that work out boondocking with the Class A?
So
we're limited.
We are limited. We do a lot. Like, we get on iOverlander and do a lot of looking. It's best if we can be doing a parking lot that's near something, which is obviously not as fun. But like, we did a snowpack this spring. That was a really good location. Mm-hmm. Our ideal scenario, which we are working toward, is actually to do a rooftop tent on the truck. So we would get just off of the road to the first site where we can get our Class A, and then we can unhook, take our tent, our truck farther in, and go and actually have the experience that we really want. So we are more limited, but out west you can get plenty. We can go scope it out with our truck first. We just unhook, go drive it, see if we're going to fit, and then we can go drive in.
Just needs to be relatively flat, right?
Yeah.
Which can get tricky, but there's plenty of places. We did it in New Mexico, and not too sandy because we're
also 50,000 pounds.
Yeah.
What was that?
So don't get stuck.
Our rig weighs, well, it can weigh up to, our GVWR is 49,000 pounds. I think we're actually around 45,000 pounds with our stuff in it, but
getting stuck, goodness,
right, would
be expensive.
Yeah, that would suck.
Yeah,
that's my biggest concern is actually soft ground more so than getting in and getting out.
Yeah.
But that was kind of the joke when we got this. Like, this is a pretty bougie rig. We are not bougie people. This just like had the towing we needed. It had the cargo we needed, and we're hoping it doesn't grow mold. So it was like, this is what we needed to do what we needed to do. But like, we're more like schooly people, you know, but that would have taken a bunch of our time to build out. So a lot of people in buses do lots of boondocking. I don't know if they have much more ground clearance than we do. Yeah. But we're not afraid to bring this thing places. Yeah. We just don't want to get stuck.
Yeah. Completely understandable. What was you mentioned an app there at a real short iOverlander?
iOverlander.
Yeah. Okay. And what kind of walk us through that a little bit? Because I've heard of, I mean, I own a Jeep. I like to do that stuff. I'd like to get off the beaten path. I don't like to be around people when I go camping. I also own a van, a 2000 Chevy GMC Safari, Chevy Astro, same thing. I like using that thing because I can get away from people as well. It's all-wheel drive.
Yes.
But iOverlander, what is that? I mean, what does that do?
So we're able to, on a map, go and zoom in and find places to camp for free. So it's going to give you, it's all user-based information. And so people will give it a rating. They'll tell you exactly the coordinates of where it is. They'll tell you how many rigs could fit and probably about size, where the access roads are, noise concerns, safety concerns. So it's all put in there. You check and see how recent it is. I'll usually check it on there, and then I'll go into Google Maps and I'll do the landscape overlay and get a look to see how it all looks, because our thing, I am never bringing us in anywhere without an escape plan. I'm the navigator. And so now it's easier. We can back up. With the trailer, that was asking for a lot of trouble with a 32-foot trailer with no camera behind us to get us out of a tough situation. Yeah. But with flat towing, we can't back up either without unhooking the truck.
But it's possible,
So with iOverlander, we're able to go and find out what kind of land it is. And then also people will sometimes put on there where they went to get water or how close the nearest dump was, all those other options. So that's been the best one we've found as far as for people with big rigs to get an idea of whether or not we're going to fit.
Okay. Have you heard of Onyx Overland? I think it's Yeah, so Onyx Hunt is them, and they started out hunting. They basically did private land versus public land. It was kind of and they show all the regions, whether it be unit this, unit that, whatever it may be, and then different regions and all that. Now, obviously, it's segregated by states as well. But they started in Onyx Overland, and I was wondering if it was kind of curious or kind of similar. I think it's probably going to be very similar. I just don't know to what extent. It might be more Jeepy type people for that. But either way, it sounds kind of similar. So, but interesting.
We need to just start a big rig app for camping.
Do it. Why not?
When New Mexico, we had a tunnel we got to, and we're like, are we sure about this tunnel? It's a really long tunnel. Are we going to fit? That was, and of course, it's after dark. That was our thing at the first couple years on the road. We were never parking in the daylight ever.
Yeah.
People that have that rule 3-3-3,
like,
whatever. Don't drive more than 3 hours and get there before 3 o'clock. I'm like, what is this nonsense?
Like, what? We're like, we're driving 12 hours.
Hey, that's living loose, man.
You guys don't get to do anything. Come on.
Yeah. What if you're here and you want to go there? Like, what do you take 2 weeks? Like, we're like 2 days, you know?
So you live a little off the schedule then, Barry. That's good.
Yeah, it's true. He's helped me. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, opposites attract, right? That's what they say.
Right. Yep.
Well, awesome. Well, actually, the whole tunnel thing. I think. Have you heard of is it RV Trip Easy, RV something?
Oh, the RV
Trip Wizard.
Yeah, that supposedly does the whole tunnels and under overpasses and all that. So we have a partnership with them. I'm trying to get them on here, or some sort of partnership with them. I'm not sure, but I'm working on that too. So that's something you can look into if you're scared about tunnels and stuff. But there's not a whole lot of tunnels in this whole U.S.
We've done a couple.
Yeah.
I don't like them.
Yeah. I'm guessing you've gone through Colorado, right? The big one in Colorado, I-70.
No.
Really?
We've done a lot of East Coast.
Okay.
We took that up and down the East Coast all the time, New Hampshire, Florida.
Yeah.
And the Carolinas, there's a tunnel. Oh, that was when I don't drive very much. That is his job. We talk about cards. He owns the card ownership of driving. I drove the motorhome for the first time a couple weeks ago in the parking lot, moving campsites. And that so far that's it. But with the trailer, there's one day he was like, all right, I got a call. And like, we had to drive. He's like, so you have to drive. I'm like, okay, fine. And of course that was the day we had a tunnel.
Oh. Yeah.
And it was like my white knuckle, like, don't mess up. And then we got to where we were going, and I practically threw the keys at him and was like, okay,
don't ever do that. Oh, awesome. Well, let's move on to the next thing here. That was really fun. But the community and connection, right? You guys have been out here for 4 years. I mean, obviously you've met friends. I mean, your family's kind of scattered all around the U.S., so that's awesome. You can stay connected with them quite easily versus other people that have to, they're out, say, over in Oregon for Christmas, yet their families in Missouri or something like that. Like, hey, you all come see us. Like, just because we live in an RV doesn't mean we're going to travel to you every time, right? It's not that simple. I get that. And I love that. I love hearing that because, like, I live out in Idaho and everybody's back home. Like, we need to come home. It's a two-way street. You can come see me, But I had that problem living an hour away from home. They never come visit me, so... But it is what it is. It's no big deal. The community connection. So how else do you stay connected with friends and family? But have you found sense of community within the RVing world? I think you have, because I saw you with some people that I've talked to and all that. But how has that been for you? What's your experience been like in the RV community?
There's obviously concern getting on the road. Like, you worry for your kids. Okay. You're pulling your kids out of their environment they knew with their friends. But our neighborhood that we lived in had like 3 kids in it. And they had some adults they were friends with, Now we go to these rallies with other RVers that are organized, and our kids have like 30 friends there, kids that they know, and they see them repeatedly. So we're part of a group called Full-Time Families. We're also in Republic of Nomads. We joined this last summer, and it's people also say just staying in Thousand Trails is basically, also a community. There's communities for people without kids. There's for communities for people with kids. So Full-Time Families is the one you have to have children to be in the community. Mm-hmm. So they organize meetups, hangouts, rallies all over the United States. Sometimes it's solely just to get together, or sometimes it's an event. Like we just did Albuquerque Balloon Fiesta as a group. And our kids look forward to them all year.
Yeah, I bet.
We still find families. It's actually crazy to think about. You meet these families on the road, and you're like, this is where my people were. When you're in your neighborhood, you get what you get.
Yeah.
You make some friends, but, they just happen to also like the town that you live in, or they have to live there. On the road, it's a different kind of person. Like, we're adventure seekers. We're people wanting a deeper connection. We're family-focused people. Like, for pretty much all of us, that's our why. Like, what's your why? Well, I wanted the best thing for my family, and this is what was going to do it for us.
You stole my question.
Well, sorry.
That's all right. We'll go back to it.
And so to find so many people that share a commonality with us was very surprising. Because, you know, you see people on social media, you don't really get to know them that well. You just see what they're doing. Yeah. And then you get out here and you're like, wow, we're a lot alike. Like, we're all looking for the same thing, and we have a basis of connection.
Well, like-mindedness is just attraction, right? I mean, you have similar way of thinking. Obviously, you're going to become friends with those people. That's your group, right? It comes your circle, which is awesome. And I've seen that across basically everyone that I've talked to the same way. The RV community is a small niche of people, and you got to have a couple screws loose to do this, because, you know, living the 9-to-5 life is just the normality. That's what everybody knows. That's what has been generationally taught and brought into our brains. But life's changing. You know, there's other ways to live life, and you guys are doing it. So that's super awesome. How about you, for you, Barry? What's community and connection like for you?
Yeah, just to kind of echo, you know, all that. I'm also the introvert of the couple, right? As you can tell, the lack of talking.
That's why I'm asking you.
Yeah. No, you know, initially it was like, I don't need this, you know, kind of a thing. Like, you know, I can just do my own thing. You know, not someone who's had, you know, who always has like a gazillion friends. I have like a few that like are my good friends, but it's been really awesome, actually. Like just this past a couple of weeks, and we were at like there was a couple of days I was having a hard time, right? Like looking for a job, it's not fun.
Yeah.
And you know, we were at this you know, event with other folks, and just, you know, sitting outside talking with other folks was really nice. So it's been a blessing for me. I have enjoyed it. Yeah, we essentially make friends wherever we go, you know, and some of them we keep in contact, you know, over time. But yeah, it's been good.
Yeah, it's one thing. I talked to a gal, one of my first people talking that was full time. She said she got offered jobs left and right on the road. I mean, she's been on the road for 3.5 years, I believe, and she was a very techie type gal. I mean, she was like, when she was like 11 years old, coding for The Sims.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, which is super cool, right? My jaw like dropped. I'm like, what? I mean, I haven't heard of The Sims for like a decade, for one. But the fact that you were coding for it when you were not even a teenager, that's insane. Yeah. But she said that, I mean, she's gotten offered jobs just by, you know, just having those sparked conversations because of full timers like yourself. Because a lot of people, you know, I guess, you know, the older community, they have the snowbirds, right? And you kind of bump past with those, you cross paths with those people, and they're usually people that have done very well in life, and they still run the company. They just show up for the one monthly meeting that they have to be there for. And I guess that people that have offered jobs that way, I'm like, well, that's a good way to go about it. You got to make the connection. It's all about who you meet and who you know, right? It goes a long ways.
We got to go start door knocking on the nice Class A's in the row. Like, hey, nice to meet you.
I'm looking for a job.
Happen to know anybody?
You'll find one, big guy, I'm sure.
Yeah.
You've been doing it.
I just say that being said, at this event we were at, like, I think there were five or six people. They're like, hey, send me your resume. You know,
there you go.
That part of the community, has been awesome.
Yeah, that's super cool. So, along the way, I'm sure you've had, sounds like you've had many experiences with 3 RVs in 4 years, and 1 year supposable most was going to travel, but now that's changed. Now you're doing it full time. So what are your favorite experiences? Can you share some of those most memorable experiences or most memorable or favorite destinations? Then what are some unexpected benefits from this that you didn't think you were going to get, but you did get? It sounds like your health was one of them. Started clearing up and you didn't know why, what was going on. Ended up being mold, but like what other unexpected benefits have you realized or discovered from the RV lifestyle? Yeah,
so I guess experiences. When we first started off, like, we launched from New Hampshire, right? And one of the first places that I wanted to go to, I don't really pick where we go, except in the beginning. I was like, I want to go, right? I don't know. I'm just like, I don't care, wherever, let's go. I wasn't the one that was keen on traveling. I didn't necessarily, I don't know. I was like, I'm happy where I'm at.
Yeah.
You want to drag me to these places, sure, whatever. I'll chauffeur you guys, right? You know.
Yeah.
But I was like, I've never been to Niagara Falls. Like, let's go to Niagara Falls.
Yeah.
And sorry, we got some wind going on.
Oh yeah.
And we actually paid to go like in the boat, out onto the water. It'll be all right.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
It's our eyes get big. Like, what's going on?
the awning.
Yeah, it's blowing.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
I'll go handle that. You're good. Sorry. Arizona.
So
It's a good timing.
this is like, and this is the thing with RV life. I always tell people, be like, if you're a flexible person, this is gonna be fine. You're just like, okay. Well, I kept peeking to see if I could see my awning. They have a wind sensor.
Oh yeah.
But I couldn't see it. So, but Arizona get these weird gusts. So he's gonna handle that for a second.
Yep.
That's completely fine.
So was it called Maiden
Maiden of the Mist.
Yeah.
Maiden of the Mist?
That's on Bruce Almighty.
Oh my gosh! I didn't do that.
Yeah.
It's happening again. The kids are, they're in my bedroom looking out the window watching what's happening. When we were here last time, a dust devil came through and like threw a bunch of stuff around. We just went and found it later and went and picked up all our stuff. But Niagara Falls, like that was the only thing I think in all these years on the road that Barry has been like,
wow,
I want to do that. So we did that first. Albuquerque Balloon Fiesta was always on our list, and we were kind of like, I mean, it's just a bunch of hot air balloons, but everyone says it's amazing, so I guess we should go.
Did you cry?
And part of me was hoping it wouldn't be that great.
Yeah.
Just because it was inconvenient in October, I felt like, to be in Albuquerque. Like there were lots of places like fall foliage, or like it's a cheap time to go to Europe. All these other things you could be doing. It was awesome.
Yep. I can imagine so. I mean, we have a little one here in Boise as well, and I didn't even get to it because it was so packed downtown. You couldn't even come close to it. And then like I showed up as like they were just doing they were just lighting them up and like doing like a dance with them. They were all still blowing up, but they were just like doing like music dances with them. And it was pretty sweet. But yeah, I never seen one up close and personal, and I was like, damn, this thing's kind of big. All intact.
Phew.
Made it.
Good deal.
You don't want to break Gerard awnings.
No. So you're talking about, she said Balloon Fiesta was one of her favorite, and that was really cool. I mean, I was watching everybody was there, everyone that I follow and talk to. And so I saw little clips of everything on that. But you said Niagara Falls. Now, have you been to Shoshone Falls here in Idaho?
Shoshone Falls?
Yes.
Well,
how do we say it?
Shoshone.
Oh, see, we said it wrong. There we go.
No,
What'd
we
you
know.
say? What did you say?
Shoshone? I don't know.
I mean, as far as I've heard, it's Shoshone. If I'm wrong, I'm going to feel bad because I live here. But anyway, supposedly it's bigger and taller, wider and taller than Niagara Falls.
We have been.
You have?
We have a sticker on our side. I was just looking at it the other day.
There wasn't as much water. I think at the time
I think we didn't have the best timing.
Yeah, we went like at the end of.
Totally on the worth doing list for sure.
Yes.
Yeah, we like Idaho a lot.
Yeah, it's a gem that's the secret's getting out. There's a lot of cool stuff here. It's not Colorado mountains, which I don't like very much because I like skiing.
Did you know you have scorpions in Idaho? Did you know that there's scorpions in Idaho?
Doesn't surprise me, but it's a big desert. I mean, half of it's a desert, so I mean, they got a lot of stuff, but I mean, there's no bugs. Like very, very few mosquitoes. I think I've had 2 mosquito bites here in like Nebraska, eastern Nebraska is where I'm from. The humidity alone just breeds mosquitoes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm happy with it. I can deal with scorpions that really aren't seen. The Mormon crickets are a little strange, though. Have you seen those things?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're like your thumbs walking around. They're giant, and they got giant legs on them. Those things I could pass on them. But anyway, so favorite experience, you've had some really good ones. What are some unexpected benefits that you guys realized or discovered over time?
I mean, more friends than I ever would have thought.
Really?
For sure. And not surface friendships, like really good friends. I wasn't expecting that. Like, you kind of feel like when you're, like you're saying, we're all kind of got a little bit of a screw loose getting on the road. You're always kind of that person that's like, doesn't quite fit in to all the normal layers. Like you just figure you're kind of a unicorn, and then you get on the road and you're like, "That's where we are. Hi, you know, we're just
been looking for you forever."
Campgrounds. So to have a place where you could like really be yourself and make these really valuable friendships with people really surprised me. Like lifelong friends, even just weekend campers coming. We've made incredible friendships with people that aren't full time, that just like to camp. That we've stayed in touch with. That's our kind of our joke when people say like, "Oh, you should come and see us," and we're like, "We will." So careful.
Yeah. Don't say it if you don't mean it.
Yeah, you take that back. Yeah.
Well, come knock and say, "Hey, what are you up to? We have a free weekend. Did you want to hang out?"
Yeah.
So
hey, oh hi.
Like the joke that people say like, "Oh, do you have RV grandparents yet for your kids?" And I was like, "We do. They're in Oregon. How'd you know?" Like, everyone has these older couples that just kind of like adopt your kids. They're like, "Hey, here's our address, and here's our phone number. Keep in touch." And we had it happen this year. A couple weeks later, we're in this driveway of these people that we had just met a few weeks before, and they're giving our kids popsicles and playing games. You know,
felt like family.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Amazing.
Yeah, that's cool. I actually sold to a couple out here 2 years ago. I just came out here on a trip for work. It was a sale. They were doing like a, what do they call those? I can't even remember. It was a show. They call them a sales show, like an RV show, whatever. I showed up there. I sold one trailer the whole time. I'm not a show person. I was great in the dealership because I'd take that down that sales wall. Like, hey, you came to me. Like, let's chill out. Let's have a beer afterwards, whatever. Like, it'll be okay. But like at shows, I sucked at it. It just didn't work for me. But I did sell this one couple. He was wearing an Indian motorcycle jacket. I was like, this is my guy. I got him. And they ended up buying from me the next day. But anyway, I've stayed in touch to them. I've met up with them for dinner, lunch, brunch, whatever. They live 2 hours up north, but I've met them up there too. Same thing. I mean, it's just good people. Like there's awesome people. So I can see that. There's the RV community. You get all walks of life. You see the good, you see the bad, but you get a lot of good people in the midst of it all. So it's awesome. But in your travels, you've done a lot, right? 4 years, you have experienced quite a bit, good, bad, ugly, all that. Let's go back to advice for beginners. So if you were talking to yourself 4 years ago from now, what would you tell yourself? And like, hey, this is what you need to do. And what about maybe someone who's on the fence of doing it? What would you tell them?
Get a bigger RV.
Don't start with 120 square foot for 6 people.
Just sell the house, dude. You're gonna like it.
Yeah. We held on to the house because we weren't sure if he was gonna like it. And then 2022, we were like, my parents moved. Why do we still have the house? You know, let's just.
Yeah.
I don't ever want to tell somebody to sell their house, but I will say, go rent. If you've not RV'd before, go rent one.
Yep.
Try it out, feel it out, do an RV show. For sure, if I knew now, I would have said fly in and do the Tampa RV show. Like, go and wear yourself out, go and do the 3 days, see everything that you could possibly imagine, take notes, take videos, and then price it out. That's where you're going to get good pricing too. But rent one and go walk through everything that you can to narrow it down and consider how you think you would travel. We figured out that we were motorhome people 2 years into being full-time. And that's a question we get a lot from people is like, why motorhome? Because not a lot of full-timers with kids do it. And for us, once we knew we wanted to be on the road, we wanted to have everything with us without needing a storage unit. We didn't want to have to stop off and swap anything out. We have full snow gear. We have paddle boards. We have emergency stuff. We have everything that we could need. And then we've got our truck to go camping. Right. It was like, so you got a house on wheels and we got a camping mobile.
Yeah.
So go and do some test runs and see if you can figure out what, if it's a lot of steps to do something, it's probably going to wear you out. So maybe go a little bit bigger, but you can do it. If you're going to do it for a year, we could have done it for a year.
Yeah.
And 140 square feet.
Yeah. And you're basically saying start small, right? The renting is always a good option. I know Fireside. I've had Fireside RVs on here. They're great people. They do a great thing. RVZ, is that what it is? what's the Camp Easy? There's another one.
Mhm.
It's a big one.
RV
The
share.
RV Share. Yeah, the RV Share. And then there's one other one. I can't.
Outdoorsy.
Camp Indian. Outdoorsy. That's the one I was thinking of. Yeah. And they all kind of commingle and help each other out anyway. So, but yeah, that's the way they do it. I mean, that's why I tried to buy the van. I was going to buy the van, flip the van, and like have it be on RVZ or Outdoorsy. Like, hey, just take it out. Go ahead, have some fun.
Yeah.
It hasn't happened that way. I've been doing a lot of stuff, but it's okay. But yeah, there's the dip the toe makes the most sense. I mean, I know that I talked to several people that kind of, like you said, just jumped into it a little too fast. And then Kaylee and Steve and I exploring outside 303, they were doing 2 nights a pop, like doing like literally moving every second day. I'm like, you guys are nuts. And they had it planned out for a year. So they basically stick it out. I'm like, oh my goodness. But like another advice, if I was telling somebody, take it slow. Maybe a week at a time. You know, obviously it's expensive to stay at certain campgrounds for a week because if you stay at a campground, a lot of campgrounds are $100 a night. You know, at some places.
Places, yeah.
Northeast, sure.
Yeah, it can be cheaper as well, but there's just ways to go about it. Obviously, you said 1,000 Trails, coast to coast. There's a whole bunch of them. Camp Indian, but there's a lot of things that can help out with that. So, any other advice that you'd give to a beginner?
Don't be scared to sleep in parking lots. It's not scary.
Yeah.
People are like, Walmart parking lots. Oh my gosh.
They're
Like,
completely lit up. Well, I mean, what's the big deal? Though? Yeah, you just gotta. I'm more mad about the light.
Yeah.
It bothers
yeah,
me.
it's much better with their blackouts now. In the trailer, they didn't black out as well.
Yeah, that was my issue.
Like, really, just some people. There are more better people in this world than not.
More better.
We run into, like you're saying, RVers are like a specific kind of person. People help each other out. You get offers all the time. Like, people are just amazing. Everyone wants an opportunity to help somebody else out. Mm-hmm. When we're going to choose to stay over, I'm not going to stay in a Walmart in downtown Chicago. Okay. That doesn't exist, first of all.
Yeah. Don't be stupid.
Like, we try to stay on the outskirts. There's places you can sleep overnight. When you need to just have that stopover and continue on, it is really inconvenient to have to pull into an RV park, get your registration, back into your site, all these things. It is way faster for us to just pull off the road, pull in, knock out to sleep, wake up, go into Walmart, grab a few groceries, and head on our way. There's just really not a reason for us, from what we've seen, to be worried about doing that.
Yeah.
We feel safe.
Or like, what about truck stops? How do you guys feel about truck stops?
It just depends on the state. It's like, it's so state specific whether or not you can sleep there that we tend not to try. Also, I feel like I should save that for the truckers. They're on a time restraint for driving, and we're not. So we prefer to go where maybe they can't get as accessibly. Yeah.
Well, specifically for you guys, since you're such a big rig, that you have to be on the truck side versus like a van or a small travel trailer. True. You can be on the other side. That's what I've done. You know, it didn't bother me none. Again, lights were the only issue for me. I just walked inside. Hey, I'm staying out there. Like, yeah, cool, whatever. Like, they usually like to see, at least you say, come say hi. Or at least like Pilot J is the one I went at too. So,
and it makes this like a lot easier, like a lot more flexible when you can just say, hey, I'm feeling tired. Find me a spot to pull over.
Well, it's typically along the route, right? Yeah. You know, if they're on the highway, right off the interstate, whatever it may be, they're really close or really more accessible than anything. So makes sense to me. Anything else?
Yes, I mean.
No. Be flexible.
Be flexible.
Yeah, I had to learn that, right? That's
yes, dear.
Yeah, that's me. I'm the flexible one. Yeah. He had to learn that. But he's also the first person to jump in and help somebody out, you know?
Yeah. That's good. That's good. I mean, like you said, again, there's a lot of those people out there. So, what about future plans? How far, where do you guys see yourself? What's your next goals? Then how do you guys see this evolving in the next few years?
So we made that 4-year commitment.
Mm-hmm.
5. Oh. We're a year in on the 5-year motorhome commitment.
Okay.
So you got 4 more years right now. That puts our kids at 14, 14, and 13, which is wild to think about.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, man, it's going so fast.
Yeah.
We want to have all 50 states done and all of the major national parks done before our kids are 18. But that includes like American Samoa and like St. Thomas. Like, there's other places to get to, and all of Alaska. So before 18 for our kids, I feel like that's kind of a lofty goal.
Yeah.
We've been to a lot of national parks.
Yeah.
But I actually mapped it out. We could have finished all the national parks in the 48 states by the end of next year. But we derailed our plans a little bit, so that was a bit of a bummer. But yeah, just like stay focused on family, assess the needs of our kids at all times.
Yeah.
Make sure this is still working for them. We asked our kids if they'd wanted to say anything and like, what's your favorite thing about being on the road? And they all said friends.
Wow.
Which says a lot because a lot of people are so worried that kids on the road can't be social.
Yeah.
But they're happy. And that was part of getting this, was to keep them happy. Everyone needed a little bit more elbow room in their own space. And we'll just keep assessing their needs. And as long as it's working for them, this is us for the next 4 years plus.
There you go. Barry, you got anything? Nope.
No. Well.
I love you so much.
Highway patrol, that's what you are. Driving down the road.
Yeah, there we go with my bus.
Yeah, I know. I love those things. I get in, I just love cranking the wheel over.
Yeah.
I had a lot of fun driving those things around the lot. Everyone was scared to drive them, but I grew up in big equipment, so it didn't bother me none. I was like, why not? This would be fun. And they kind of float. You're kind of just sitting there and just,
Yep.
I kind of like that.
And his leather lounge chair.
Yeah, a little too comfortable.
Driving down the road.
Yeah, I got to prop it so sit straight up, keep me awake. Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, I had a question about that. I've had this. This has kind of come up several times. The kids. I'm an athlete. I grew up an athlete. I played college sports as well. Well, one sport, football. But how does that work? I mean, homeschooling, obviously, athletics aren't really a thing. What does that look like? Or do you guys fear them missing out on those things? Like, do they fear on missing out on those things or those opportunities? I've always just wanted to hear that perspective. I've failed to ask everybody else, unfortunately, but you're the first one, so let's hear it.
So we had a kid in Taekwondo before we got on the road, but because of COVID, it all got shut down.
Okay.
When the time we launched on the road, the kids weren't doing anything because nothing had started back up again where we were. They've expressed wanting to do some things since we've been on the road, and so we've just adapted. So we traveled really fast when we were first going, like 303. We were doing every 3 days. And then now winter is a good opportunity to do. You tend to move slower and kind of stick to a place. Some people do Texas, some people do Baja, some people do Florida, or other places. And so we took our opportunity in Florida last year. Our daughter wanted to do gymnastics. So we took a little bit different approach. Instead of doing lessons, we did private lessons instead of group lessons.
Okay.
So she was able to do more faster. And being a homeschooler, you get really good gym time. So she was doing 3 private lessons a week when we were in this area of Florida, and basically just said hey, what can you handle? What do you want to do? Pay attention to what your needs are, pay attention to what your body can handle. And she really excelled at it and she really liked it. As we left Florida and started traveling, if I had enough advance notice of where we were going to be, I can send an email and say, hey, here's her abilities. Do you guys have availability in your calendar for anyone to do private lessons? A place is much more likely to do private lessons than allow you to jump into a class for 2 weeks.
Okay.
It doesn't disrupt their life.
Exactly. Yeah.
So gymnastics is kind of an easy one.
It's not a team sport.
Not a team sport, but a sport.
Yeah.
For team sports, there are some families that go back to the same place every year and stay for a season for their kids to do sports, whether it's swim team or soccer or the like. And then they have the same kids on their team every year. And then they just go travel and then they come back. They stay for 6 weeks, 8 weeks, and then they leave again.
Interesting.
We've not encountered that with our kids. Barry grew up doing a lot of sports. It's come up a lot. I did dance and, performance and that stuff. So it didn't matter as much for me. Do you feel like you miss out with the kids not doing sports?
No, I guess no. They seem fine. I think once they ask about it.
Yeah.
Right? Or we, I don't know. I guess it's getting to the age where maybe we can introduce a couple of things, but.
And that's something, it's winter plans. It's usually people well, if you do Florida, you can do soccer.
Yeah.
If you time it right. So we have other friends that do it and make it work. And there's some people that travel full time just because of the sport that exists.
Yeah. That would make sense. Are you guys hearing those beeps? Sorry, FAR. Okay, good.
Are you hearing the wind?
No, I have a Teams chat on here that keeps beeping up, and I tried to mute it earlier. I have no idea how to. But yeah, anyway, so like I said, I wouldn't be the person I am without sports. So I was wondering how that would look as a full timer, because obviously it's a totally different lifestyle, and you can't, like, team sports specifically, the gymnastics thing, the private lessons. I mean, yeah, you can make that happen. Even like baseball, you could probably make at least, private lessons happen, but then you got to be on a team, and baseball's, 5-6 months of the year sometimes, depending on the age bracket or age group you're in. Football, same thing, but soccer, you said people do that, hey, here's 3-4 months, got to be back here in this 3-4 months. I wonder, like, how that would work. I'm guessing high schoolers, especially since COVID happened, I'm guessing it's changed a little bit, as in you can probably still attend class via Zoom or whatever it may be, but still be on the road the rest of the 6 months of the year. Well,
and it depends on your state. I actually homeschooled 7th grade and then went back in. And in New Hampshire, I was allowed to participate in the school sports, even though I wasn't enrolled. That was just how it was written in my state. So I did field hockey for that year that I homeschooled, even though I wasn't attending the school. So, like, I guess it depends on your domicile. Homeschool laws change, or they vary by every state.
Oh.
It's definitely a possibility.
Okay, yeah, interesting.
I wasn't very good. But
it didn't stick around.
No.
All right. Well, I appreciate that insight, because I've never heard anything. So I'm gonna try and work that into all my conversations when I talk to these people.
You get asked that one a lot by people. That one comes up a lot. Yeah.
Well, like I said, I wouldn't be the person I am physically, mentally, emotionally without that aspect of my life. I just wouldn't be. I know that. I mean, it's made me a better human in the long run, in my personal, but I don't know the opposite side. I don't know the difference. So I was just, it's important to me. So I was wondering what that looks like. So you shot me some links of these gadgets and gizmos and favorite add-ons that you've had. So let's talk about those. What are those things? You've been on the road for 4 years and you had different trailers along the way, but what are your favorite gadgets, gizmos along the way that you've had so far?
Water sensor.
What's the number one? The water sensor?
Like we said, mold is just not an option. So we have water sensors that you can put underneath your sinks, your wet bay outside, if you wanted to, anywhere you think there's a risk of water intrusion, and it will alarm in your house and send you notification on your phone.
That's awesome.
So that's a big thing.
It's Bluetooth and Wi-Fi.
Like, you leave your RV, you turn off the water, as a general rule. You might forget, or for some people who are towing their home behind them, you'll be alerted of something happening in your RV while you're towing if you forgot to turn off the water.
That's very cool.
So that's one that is a little different. A lot of people haven't heard of, but everyone's always happy to hear about. No one wants to wreck their RV. Even if you're not sensitive to mold, nobody wants water in their RV. So that's a good one.
Yep.
The other is our air purifier that we use. We have a countertop one that's different. This one is the one that we find best, because if you want to think about for a second what 5 people and a dog would have smelled like in 120 square feet.
I can imagine. I grew up with 5 dogs in the house at one point.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I get it.
The ozone air purifier doesn't put any fragrance into the air. It just annihilates any smell. So actually, I hate campfire smell on my clothes and in my hair. Fair.
I kind of like that.
And so, and it's like, you try to wash it and you can't get the smell out of your clothes. Yeah. If you just lay your clothes, or like your jacket, you don't want to wash your jacket every time, next to the ozone, the smell will be gone in the morning.
Really?
It's amazing.
Yeah.
We actually got diesel.
I would say one of the first times it was filling up, and apparently we have one of those fuel saver cards, and we can go to truck stops, right, and gas up there, and they have the high flow pumps. And I shoved that sucker in there and cranked it up and stood there, and it just blew diesel all over.
Fun.
Yeah. And we washed it in my clothes 5 times, and it smelled like you just poured diesel on it, right?
Yeah.
We left it in the bathroom with this thing running for 24 hours or whatever.
Finally got it.
Really?
We tried Coca-Cola. We tried everything everyone recommended. We could not get that diesel smell out.
Interesting.
That was not good. Yeah.
Interesting.
That was, a lot of friends have gotten that one and been grateful to learn about it. So.
Really? I'll tell you a slow story about the ozone real quick. So I had a house in college that my family was partnered with some guy. They bought a house together. We flipped it at the end of it, but we had to pull out the basement was obviously a party room, right? So there was little thin carpet. Things were poured. It happens. Anyway, apparently there was mold in there in the basement. I had asthma at the time, but I had no idea. It was just in Nebraska. I had asthma my whole life. It's the high humidity, heavy air. I always had problems with it. I have zero issues out here, which is great. But anyway, we had an ozone. We bought it like an industrial one, though. And this industrial thing, we were working downstairs, like pulling carpet or something like that. I don't remember, but I mean, it took my breath away, like the ozone did. I mean, it's my dad and I both came out hacking, like, that thing's gonna kill us. Like we could barely breathe. It almost felt like you had static in your lungs because
it was killing stuff in your lungs.
Yeah, I believe it, and it was almost killing me. your whole
that's a lot.
But yeah, it legitimately. My dad and I both had to step out of the house. Like, what the hey? We could barely breathe in there.
So they should have told you on that one that you shouldn't have been in the house while it was running. But details,
Yeah, well, who knows? I mean, if it doesn't kill you, it makes you stronger, right? So
our general rule is if you can smell the ozone, turn it down. So you can leave it running when you're in the house, but if you smell it, turn it way down. So we keep ours really, really low. The little plug-in is for like 250 square feet, 300, something like that. So we just have one. I can't imagine.
Electric. It's like you can almost feel it in your nose. Yeah, it's like staticky. I mean, I get it. It makes sense.
Yeah, like a metallic kind of a.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, I'm glad you made it.
Yeah. We're here. We're good. We're good. So, what was the other one? The last one you said
the
was
level mate.
The level mate. Yeah. So walk us through this a little bit. I'm not sure what this is.
Yeah, Level Mate Pro. So it's we used it for a travel trailer, and actually I think we might want to use it for a motorhome. But it's a little box. It's like a gyroscope in it, right? And you install it somewhere in the travel trailer, and you can essentially set level with it, right? So you'll need to manually level your trailer the first time, right? And then you can set it on that. So then
calibrate it.
Yeah, calibrate it. So then you have an app, and it tells you. So as you're pulling into a campsite, you can open up the app, right? And you can see how level front to back and side to side, how far off you are. And you can find like a spot that's easier. And then as you go to level, right, just like, hey, get the levelers out and then, back up, pull forward onto your levelers and dial it in really quick. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You guys have auto level though right now, right?
Ton of time. Now we have auto level-ish.
Yeah. Ish?
It's not.
It's not auto leveling.
We might need a lesson. There's a lot of buttons in here.
Yeah.
I read the manual for what it's worth, right? And it's always off a little bit, and you can reset, level. And I thought that I did that, and it doesn't seem to do that. So so we have this weird procedure of we have like a can of soda.
We roll a can on the floor to figure out if we're level or not.
Yeah. One can this way, one can this way.
Yeah, and then adjust it. Yeah, so I was like, maybe we should just get another Level Mate Pro, and then I can just you don't have to do that. I can just see it and be done with it.
Oh, good.
Yeah. And apparently, talking to other Class A auto leveler things, like, it's always off by a little bit. I'm like, okay, it's not just ours. I'm not an idiot, or maybe y'all are. I don't know.
Yeah, is it 4-point or 6-point? 4. Yeah, so I mean, you're spanning across a little bit. Obviously, it comes in about 75% each way or 25% each way or something like that. Yeah, just a little bit, but it's a big rig. I mean, there's a lot of square footage there. So being perfect isn't probably perfect, but
and as far as like pain points as a couple, when you're RVing, like getting set up as quick and as smoothly as possible. Like any of the things that are going to make that go better is going to help your life and your marriage. Yep. So an app that he could hold in his hand for level that goes green and then we're level, like totally saves on back and forth of stop, go, you went too far.
Nobody move.
Yeah. And this was often in the dark as
of course, 1 o'clock in the morning, right? You're getting set up in a campsite.
Yeah. Well, if you follow the 3-3-3 rule, you'd be just fine.
I know.
Well,
I don't see that ever in our life.
Yeah, that's okay. I'm glad you're a little more free willy spirit because that's good to hear. Because life happens whether you want it to or not, right? So I mean, if you're living with rolling with the changes, right, you'd be probably better off in the long run. So anyway, last question is, you kind of covered it a little bit. What's your why? I know that you guys kind of started. It was kind of a health kick or health reason at first because you didn't know. And then you started and like, wow, everyone's happier. The kids are starting to enjoy lives more. You can see it on their faces. What are your other reasons? Like, what's like, this is why we keep this going, because this, life's too short. If you want to do it, go do it. And you guys did it, but you're still doing it. So why?
I really wanted our kids to be friends. Mm-hmm. I grew up in a family of 6 kids. We were not friends until we were adults. And it was a different upbringing for our children. I don't know. He had 3 brothers, but I felt like they did all right when they were kids.
I thought we were friends, but
yeah.
I don't know. Yes, the other ones might be a different story.
I don't know. He was the oldest, so.
Yeah.
So for us,
so yeah, you were the. I get that. I didn't talk to my older sister until she was like 25. So. Yeah.
And for us, when we were living in a house and there was taekwondo and dance practice and kids had school, and a kid could be in the basement, one could be in a bedroom, and one could be in the living room, and they could just not talk to each other and not see each other for an entire day. And they would bicker a lot. And there's a lot less bickering now. It happens when they get around other friends. Like we just did 2 weeks at a rally. They weren't hanging out together. They were with friends. But then we come back together. We get a week by ourselves without other kids around to recalibrate, is what we say. We're going to recalibrate here. We're going to clean the RV. We're going to spend time together, and we're going to focus on our family. And we can just move our house when we need to recalibrate. When you're in a neighborhood, you can't go put signs on all of your doors and cancel all of your things because your family needs a reset. Yeah. So our family, but mostly our kids, we fixed us. I'm no longer a crazy person. And I think. Yeah.
Yes, dear.
I don't right? Checking in. So now it's all about the kids, which is why we say, like, we're checking in with them. How are you doing? What do you need? Is this working for you still?
Yeah.
Because this is all about giving them the best childhood that we can give them to our understanding.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, they may not know it now, but they're going to appreciate it later on in life. I was thinking, I always wanted to go out and travel and do all these things. My dad was a pilot by trade, so he kind of flew around all over and did all these things. And he'd come back and tell us about this. And I just wanted to go. I was like, I go stay at my buddy's house. This friend I just met, whoever it was, I wanted to go. Travel, go experience those things. These kids don't even know they're getting so much more culture than any other kid just staying at home. I mean, I grew up in the country, so I didn't have neighbors. I didn't have to worry about the guy outside next across the street or anything about making him mad. I did that at my friend's house, in town. I know who that guy is, but he's fine. But these kids are going to come out way more cultured than any other kids that grow up in neighborhoods or in suburbs and stuff like that. And they don't even know it. And I'm curious to see what happens to them when they get to the age of the working life, right? What are they going to do? Are they going to settle down in a suburb, settle down in town? They're going to go to the high-rise apartment downtown, wherever it may be. I don't know. I think they're going to probably rock out the nomadic lifestyle that you guys are doing, and they're probably going to come out better than most kids at their age, probably mature a little quicker in some aspects, at least physically, emotionally, for sure, mentally in different matters. But I'm excited to see that for all kids that get the chance to do this. So it's interesting. But is there anything else that you guys would like to share before we kind of wrap things up here?
I had one more thought I'd forgotten. A surprise about being on the road.
Okay.
And I think actually just the fact that the entire world now feels more accessible. I wouldn't have before been like, oh, hey, let's just see if we could hop a flight and go somewhere. Like, we had the places we went. We had our comfort zone. We went to Florida. We'd go see family. We go to Florida and we go see family. And then now it's like, hey, we're kind of close to a major airport. Like, let's just go see. Maybe we hop on a flight and we go somewhere and go store the RV. Because you can just pack a backpack, stick the RV in storage, find somewhere for the dog, and go somewhere. Like, it just spills over.
Yeah.
Rather than saying, like, I thought when we got into it, it'd be like, oh, RVing. But now a friend's like, oh, we're going over here. Do you want to come? Oh, sure. We had never been on a cruise before. We went on a cruise for the first time this year, and then I went on 3 in 1 year.
Well,
it was
all right.
It's like, oh, it's a new thing. It's all just right. Meet so many new people with so many different experiences that you're exposed to so many more options than we would have. And we just keep peeling back layers of all these available parts of life that we didn't know were there.
Yeah. So I don't know if I made this up, but I think I did. I'm gonna quote myself. There's, your bucket list, right? Your bucket list is X amount, and it keeps getting longer, right? But unfortunately, your life keeps getting shorter. And with you guys doing this, the just go attitude becomes a lot more apparent, and that you can. So like you said, you're just like, hey, well, I got the RV. We're already going and doing things anyway. Well, yeah, let's go do that too. And let's go hop on the flight, wherever it may be, go down to the cruise. So I like that. I like that attitude. I mean, I went down to South America last year, down to Patagonia, because I always wanted to do that. Now, I didn't get to do the trek that I wanted to do, but I got to see the mountains that I was going to go trek. So I have to go back, but that's fine. But it's just, life is, as far as we know, we only get one, and might as well do it the way you want to do it. So I appreciate that you guys are doing it the way you want to do it. So
Thank
there's
you.
nothing else. I appreciate you guys so much coming on, but do you have anything else before we go? Yeah. Hey, he said some words today.
I did, right?
Yeah. I had no idea that you were introverted. I had zero idea.
Didn't notice at all.
Yeah.
That's how we're all paired up on the road. There's the extrovert and the introvert in every RV couple, basically.
Really? I mean, is that well, apparently it's just like you said, the opposites attract, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Supposedly.
There's the catalyst, and then there's one just dragging the other one behind.
Awesome.
And then they're finding their people, because there's a lot of introverts that were paired with the extroverts on the road, so they find friends.
Yep.
Thanks so
all
much.
right. Yeah, thank you guys for joining. I really appreciate it, and I hope you guys keep growing, because you're doing a great job. I love watching your stuff. So stay on here for the minute after. But guys, if you're watching this, give those guys a follow. A Little Wild, a Lot Free. I'd say A Lot Wild, a Lot Free. These guys are fun. They're wonderful to talk to. You see all 6 of them. I haven't seen the dog yet, so I got to see a picture of the dog. I might just scroll through your stuff a little more. But Ruby, Augie, Alice, tell them thank you for joining for the short time that they did today. It was wonderful meeting them. Barry, Naomi, thank you so much for joining today. It was a wonderful time talking to you, and I love all the insight that you gave us. And stay wild and stay free, because I love watching your stuff. But if you like what you're hearing, we're going to teach you how to keep doing this thing, or try to get on the full-time road. These guys will teach you. You can follow these guys, follow the other guys I've talked about, but we're trying to do that as well. And then we're going to talk to manufacturers, as well as more camping stuff like Blackstone and stuff like that. We're going to try and get into those. It takes a while because they're a little bigger company. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for joining today, and stay tuned for more from the RV Boys.